Hey, welcome to episode 19 of We Can't Code So We Criticize. This is a weekly video game podcast
Whoop, whoop.
between two friends. Whoop whoop.
Damn, I don't get you anymore.
No, I'm past it now.
You just know it's coming.
Yeah, I can see it with my mind eye. So a video game podcast. Really, that's all that we need to say, I guess, about it. We do top fives.
Episode 19, so.
That's about it. Actually, we do talk about movies and stuff too, which is what I'd like to start on for.
Oh, it would help though. My name is Michael.
No, let's not share names. Yeah. Okay. So I'm Ben.
I'm Michael. Welcome to the podcast. And like we said before, let's get started. So you said you want to talk about something about movies?
Yeah, I saw Black Panther yesterday.
What did you think of it?
It was really good.
Yeah, I've heard some good reviews about it. I actually, we'll talk about that because I actually watched a hero movie last night myself with my girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, so Black Panther came out this weekend, and people had a lot of hype for it because it's. From the sounds of it, the two reasons that I understood it was really hyped up is it was the first black superhero that actually got like a decent movie. You know, I mean, we're talking like the
So
worst.
it's actually good. So yeah, it's a black hero movie where it's actually good.
Well, just I mean, it wasn't like half-assed or anything. For example, like what is it in Captain America? They've got the black guy that has the
Nightwing or something like that.
the Falcon.
Yeah, I think he's the Falcon. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like he was just kind of like tacked on to
He's
Winter
a side
Soldier and
character.
stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like a side character. He gets his own little. He actually gets a pretty good segment in the Ant-Man movie too.
Yeah, but then the same fucking thing happened with War Machine in Iron Man movies. You know.
Yeah.
So like, there's just been a lot of these like black superheroes that are just like paired off with bigger superhero names, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
So I'm glad that it did good though. I mean, I've only heard good things about it, so which is nice because the hype was pretty darn big for the movie. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't fall flat on its face.
Well, it was good. It definitely like I think that there's a standard bar for comic hero or for superhero movies coming out these days that it's getting lower and lower, and it was above that. But I by no means do I want to suggest that it was anywhere near.
What would you say is lowering it? Like what lowered the like the Thor, like the original Thor movies? Things kind of lowered the bar, you'd say.
What are some of the worst superhero movies?
Like you said that the bar is getting lowered. So like, what lowered the bar for like hero movies and stuff?
Just I think what do you call it when saturation?
Oh, just saturation. Gotcha. Okay, so you're just saying there's so many of them out there. I'm like, and I agree too.
The hero's journey is really tough to do, and these plot lines are already kind of figured out to the point where
You just
they
know
can't.
when the movie starts.
Well, they can't really throw in any new characters. Like it's not like a group of people where they can switch it up. Where like Guardians of the Galaxy felt different because there was a lot of like group cohesion and like conversation and communication, and they're like we've all heard the story of like, oh, this alter ego secret identity that this lone hero has to like, he can't talk to anyone really about it or anything. And Black Panther was different in the sense that like everyone from his country fucking knew he was Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which that was kind of cool.
That's a nice touch.
And there were some other things too that really worked out well. So the other thing that I heard that was really like give this movie a lot of hype was that the country that he's from, Wakanda, it's like this modern metropolis city based off of like asteroid metal called vibranium, or I think that's what it is, but it's the same shit I think that Captain America's shield is made.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, that's. I read some small little things about it that they're the ones that made the special metal that's everyone talks about in Marvel. It's like, oh, it's the most you can't penetrate. And apparently, it comes from his country and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, like, pretty much they have this huge shield over this like extremely modern futuristic city. And so, like, no one knows about it, really, and then, like, the cool thing about the movie was that they portray this idea of a modern Africa that was essentially untouched by I feel like this is a racist term, but by like the white man, essentially by Europeans or whoever,
by outside sources.
Yeah, and so that was really cool because that was another. People were saying that the architecture is really unique, as in like a fully Africanized modern city, and I agree. I thought that it was really well done. Like it wasn't. There were like some callbacks to kind of like non-modern Africa, the same way that in non-modern America, like you don't like not everything is like futuristic or up to date.
It's like going to Japan. Japan's cities are different than American cities.
Yeah, like there's hints of like Shinto and stuff that so in their architecture.
So you're just saying when you said it's like untouched by European, it's just like it's actually if Africa had its own modern buildings. This is what they would actually look like skyscrapers and stuff. I mean,
well, they do have skyscrapers,
but like futuristic, like first world.
Well, yeah, but it's very much a lot more cultured by Africa rather than cultured by like
Japan or like Europe.
Other people coming into the country essentially. That's another thing that's funny too is whenever they're talking to like white guys or anything in it, they call them like colonials or
like old school.
it was a funny term, but it still hit the same tropes that a lot of superhero movies do. So it was still once again like the hero's journey and whatnot. Like I feel that it was good, but I mean like best superhero movies I've seen, I think like the first one I can think of is Logan being near the top because it was so fresh and new.
Yeah.
This one, even though it felt refreshing to some extent, it still wasn't like mind-blowing. We all walked away from the movie theater and we're like, okay, yeah, that was
another hero movie.
Yeah, it was good. It didn't let me down, but at the same time I wasn't the type of person that's like, oh, Black Panther's coming out, it's gonna be the best thing ever. I was like, I've literally never heard of this superhero until like 3 months ago.
I still want to see the movie, but yeah, I'm the same thing with you. I never knew who the Black Panther was until I saw him in the Marvel movies when he showed up. I'm like, okay, and I figured he does it but I've never been a comics book person, I never really dove into those things, so.
Yeah, and it was good, honestly. I mean,
how were the effects? All the effects still good?
It's
usually is good.
Yeah, it's not like anything was clearly like a CGI.
No, I was gonna ask style, but I mean it's a Marvel movie, so they're gonna have the same style as all the other Marvel movies.
Well, I mean, like I said, their main difference was that Africanized, like modern futuristic city is like in terms of how the style, like any Marvel movie's gonna not have like BS CGI. It's more just like what they decide to do with it, and they did a good job.
That's good.
Yeah, so I guess I would recommend going to see it. I feel bad saying that I went to go see Black Panther 2 when I'm always kind of like hyping up original, unique movies, but at the same time I do follow.
It's still a good movie.
Well, I was gonna say I do follow suit to like when my group of friends is like, "Hey, we're going to see Black Panther." It's like, what am I gonna do? Say no because I am like, "Oh, it's too."
Yeah, it's
everyone knows that movie. I'm not gonna be a dick about it. But
no, and I totally agree, and it's totally fine. That like I'm totally with you. Like I don't care to see. I'd rather see a more unique movie than the original, like one that's just like this one that's been redone. But it's like, okay, I mean, it's still gonna be a good movie.
Yeah, I'd
rather see newer, titles and stuff and brands.
For sure.
And while we're on movies, do you have any more movies to talk about too?
I had one, but it's kind of like silly. So if you had something,
I had another hero movie that I watched. It's an older one. I watched with my girlfriend. That kind of surprised both me and her. We saw X-Men Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That one. Holy crap! Is bloody as hell. People are blowing up and like getting distorted into little balls of meat and thrown across the walls. Being like, people die in that movie a lot in horrible ways. I was very shocked to see that in an X-Men movie. That wasn't Logan. Have you ever seen it?
No.
You should give it a watch. It's actually, I enjoyed it a lot. Nothing really groundbreaking, but I enjoyed the story. I'm actually going to go see the first one now. Because it's off the version when they're younger, when Xavier still had hair and all that stuff.
You haven't seen X-Men First Class?
No. I haven't seen that one yet. So, like, this is the sequel to that one.
Well, there's 3. Because after X-Men First Class, then there was the one where they introduce...
Magneto?
No, he was in there. I can't remember. But there's the Sentinels. That was, I forget what that one is, but that's actually the third movie in that like spin-off trilogy though.
Oh, so X-Men Apocalypse is the third one?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up while you're talking about it.
Okay, yeah, but it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot actually for an X-Men movie because like the original ones I saw were awful. I didn't care for them, but when I saw this with my girlfriend, we were both very surprised. It was quite enjoyable, but there was just a lot of just killing in that movie. Like, you clearly saw people die. It's not that bullshit stuff when they hide it from you. No, you just see them just straight up die in front of you. I was like, wow. And I like, it wasn't like, it wasn't as gory. Maybe it was just as gory as Logan, I feel like now when I think about it. And it was very surprising to me.
It was, so X-Men First Class, then it's X-Men Days of Future Past, and then X-Men Apocalypse, and then I guess they're making an X-Men Dark Phoenix for November this year.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix is supposed to be the main psychic chick, I guess, from X-Men and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually gonna watch the First Class and the other ones too, because I actually really like the X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, X-Men First Class was super good. Days of Future Past is also really decent too. It starts to get a little confusing, but I mean, it's easy to follow. There's just a lot of large steps you have to take in the movie because they try to match up with the old version and the new version.
Oh, they don't seem to try to do this with the X-Men Apocalypse. I didn't see anything really confusing at all in it, at least to me.
Yeah.
But it was a really enjoyable movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the villain. I thought the villain was a very cool character. And the acting was very good, too. Yeah, I was quite blown away with it.
Yeah, the younger cast for X-Men is a lot more believable, or I guess, like, I liked them a lot more. They're a lot more charming than the older cast.
Yeah, and I got that same charming feeling, too, but it was also very starking, too. It was also kind of very weird then to have, like, this charming movie with, like, this just blatant violence in it, too, though. So... But it's definitely something I'd recommend people to see. Not to go out and buy, but just to rent or... Because it's on Netflix and stuff. So I'd say I highly suggest giving it a watch and all that stuff. Because I enjoyed it. Or, no, I think it's on HBO, actually.
All right.
I think we saw it on HBO. But yeah, I was very blown away on how much I liked it. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you should definitely see the previous ones.
I'm definitely going to. I'm glad there's actually two. I thought that was the second one. I didn't realize they had a second one in between them, so I'm really excited about that. There's two more I get to watch.
Yeah, good series. The last movie that I watched, and this is silly. We were hanging out yesterday, Saturdays for the boys, as everyone knows, and we couldn't find shit to do, so we just put something on Netflix, something that we all mutually decided that we could hang out and chat and get a few drinks in, but not something that's like overbearing or difficult to watch. And in our drunken stupor, we put on Cars 3.
I watched part of that as my girlfriend watched an airplane. Interesting movie.
Yeah, interesting in a really bad way.
Yeah.
Interesting in the worst way possible. So I didn't watch Cars 2. I didn't really find it to be too...
Cars 2 has nothing to do with Cars 3 at all. There's nothing to do with it. At all.
Anyway, it was just kind of funny. I'm not going to pretend to sit here and review Cars 3, but the funny thing about Cars 3 is that they take this idea of, like, the main character, he's getting old, he's not as fast as these younger, hipper cars, and he's, like, trying to figure out what the heck to do to make himself better. And it's just funny because I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is... Granted, adults like Pixar movies, that's fine. But that's not their main demographic. Their main demographic is children. And I'm trying to think in my head, like, I've got like a visual Venn diagram in my head. One circle is labeled people that like Pixar movies, and another circle is labeled people that are dealing with retirement and age issues. And there's like the smallest overlap. And that's where Cars 3
and then there's
fits.
Cars. People actually like Cars, the movie.
Yeah, the Cars 3 fits in the middle, where it's like, oh, it's a young kids movie, but they're talking about retirement and getting old and like being out of
it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that any 8-year-old watching this movie is gonna be like, oh, totally can relate to everything this movie's talking about.
Is he chugging a beer?
Going off to Vietnam. Yeah, so
thanks for nothing.
I don't know. I think that Cars 3, once again, I'm not gonna like...
I never thought about that. It's so true.
I'm not gonna try to actually give it a proper review. These are all just comments that I thought about while I was watching the movie. But I just think that the writers for that series are, like, fucking insane. Like, I think Pixar has only done 2 sequels of movies, being the Toy Story series and the Cars series. Maybe,
Didn't they do Monster Inc. too?
Okay, yeah, I guess
So
they've been doing more.
like, I think there's 2 of those. There's the first one, and then when they go to college, I think there's the college one.
All right, well, I guess this point's kind of moot, but
Sorry.
no, it's
They
fine.
do that to you.
No, but I all that matters is they do it very infrequently, and you would think that the movies that they do make sequels of, it's like they woke up and they had a really good idea. When in comparison,
Do you
Monsters,
know what the second one is about of Cars?
it's like a spy movie.
Yeah,
I
it's
saw
all
like
about the
10
pickup
minutes of it.
It's all based up on the pickup truck guy, and it's him being a spy all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, we're gonna make you a spy now. It's like, what? I'm like, okay.
I'm sure Larry the Cable Guy, like, was on his knees at Pixar's door, like, no one likes Get Her Done anymore. I need more work. Let me be Mater again, the truck. And they're like, if you write a script, we'll give you it. And he's like, the truck is a spy, and cars are spies now, and they're spying on other cars. And there's a race. So that Owen Wilson can be in it too, I guess, the main character. But mainly it's me. He just underlines his name in red on every part. He's like, main character, you know? And they're like, yeah, this is bullshit, but kids will fucking pay to see this crap.
Yeah, well, yeah, kids will scream to have their parents force them to go. So.
You know, what does suck is that Cars, the first one, was actually really decent.
It was good. I like the first one.
Yeah, I fucking hate NASCAR, but I think it's awesome. Like, the movie was still a good movie, you know?
I thought it was very creative, and that was awesome. It's not like one of the best Pixar's did, but I enjoyed it.
It just sucks that, like, they had Cars 1, and they're like, that's great, that we're good. And then for some fucking reason, someone was like, what if we made a sequel, and it was a spy movie, and all this other bullshit? And they were like, okay, that fails horribly. And then, like, at what point are they like, okay, we kind of fucked that one up. And then the same guy comes in, and he's like, guys, we gotta end on a good note. We're doing a retirement movie about, like, denial of death and getting old.
We have to
and
fix it, and it's like, do they have a contract with one of the actors saying that they had to do 3 movies with them with Cars?
I'm sure that probably happened.
It's just like, what made you want to keep on going? It's like, they had so many good movies come after Cars. Like, you could have done anything you wanted. It's like, let's make another fucking Cars movie.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what the audience wanted. It's like, no, we didn't.
I don't know, man.
No one asked for this.
No one wants this.
I'm sure you did more damage than good.
Absolutely. Cars 1 is a fantastic Pixar movie, and the other ones are just laughably horrible.
And now that's all everyone's like, every time they can bring up Cars, they're like going like, oh yeah, you mean when they came up with 2 more shitty ass movies? That's what they're gonna be remembered as now.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Anyway,
make fun of them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Anyway, I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna like talk about the pros and the cons of the movie. You can just assume that it was obviously bad, but it just in terms of the idea of why they came up with it, I thought it was interesting to talk about. Like, it is so random. But anyway, so in terms of games, which I guess is kind of the focus of this podcast, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, and actually, I rewatched Warcraft, and I think actually Warcraft is one of my favorite games to movies.
No, really?
I think so, yeah. One of them. When I rewatched it, I really enjoyed it again, still.
Strongly disagree. Alright.
What would be your favorite one?
A favorite game to a movie?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at a list. I mean, we can
say that actually for another topic, actually, if you don't want to do any research right now. But yeah, I just rewatched it again. Like, we just did movies yesterday, me and my girlfriend, because we just didn't want to see other people. I just didn't want to go out. And but yeah, we watched that. We watched Stick It, some gymnastic movie that she wanted to watch. Then we saw the X-Men Apocalypse, and then we finished off on Tremors. And man, Tremors is still a good movie. I love Tremors.
I like Tremors.
Yeah, it just the second one's good. Then after the second Tremors, it just went. Yeah, I was like, no, just no.
You know, it's a good video game movie, Mike.
Hmm.
Mortal Kombat.
That is true, actually. I'm not going to deny that. That is actually a good movie.
It's like they didn't even try to make a decent movie, and it was awesome because of that.
Yeah, and that's what, like, people always try to say is like, oh yeah, people should add something new to, like, the movie to make it different or unique or something. Like, no, it's a game to a movie. Just show what it is, and then people will enjoy it. If the game is that popular, and if the game sold that many copies and people loved it, just like in Mortal Kombat, just make it about the game, and then people will enjoy it, and you'll sell tickets, and you'll get good reviews.
Yeah, I also liked Final Fantasy Advent Children. That was a good one.
That is true. Tomb Raider was a good one too.
Yeah, it was alright.
Resident Evil. I like the first Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm. I like Resident Evil in the same sense that I like Fast and Furious. Is that when you get into a mindset of I'm going to watch all of these, the joke just compounds on itself, and it just becomes funnier and funnier with every single iteration.
Resident Evil gets crazy pretty quickly.
My biggest thing about the Warcraft movie, to circle back to that, sorry, we got distracted on a distraction. One tangent at a time, Mike.
I'm sorry. I like doing it though. It's fun.
So Warcraft the movie. The reason I didn't really like it too much is because I thought the CGI was too much. There's times where you can tell, like, when something is, like, hyper shaded or super overly texturized, it's so obvious, like, it almost looks more realistic than real life, and in that sense, it's like, wow, that's so CGI. Like, that is pretty much the issue that I had with Warcraft, is that it didn't look bad or anything, but you could still tell the CGI was not real in any sense. And when everything in that world is CGI, then it's like, it throws me out of it.
For me, that's actually what helped me kind of beat that, because everything was CGI. That made everything kind of look like they were supposed to be in that world. Except, like, the Stark sometimes the human characters, but still most of the time was based on the orcs, so that's why I was, like, able to look past it, because, like you said, everything in there is CGI, so everything actually looks like it belongs in the movie, which is why it didn't bother me in the end.
I don't know.
It's when you have, like, these... When always CGI, super CGI thing bothers me is, like, when you have just, like, Star Wars, just, like, one scene is just pure CGI with that just don't match at all. Like, you try to have a set with pure CGI in it, too, which is just... Well, Star Wars just did a shit job, so that's actually a bad example.
Depends on which one you're talking about, I guess. I'm not really sure.
Sure.
I mean, they span over 30 years.
God, that's true. Fucking 30 years.
But, 40. Actually, they came out in the 70s, right?
Yeah. But now Han Solo is going to be his own movie, too, so...
This
tangent's going nuts.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to keep it back on track here.
Yeah, sorry. We'll bring it back.
Well, I think that we can finish up with Warcraft, I suppose. I mean, we can do a gentleman's disagreement here, so that's fine. But
what games did you play, then?
Yeah, so I watched a lot of more movies this week than I played games, but the two games I did play, I tried out the You Don't Know Jack Party Pack Volume 4.
How was it? I want to get that for the Switch. Did it work good?
You definitely need at least 4 people to have a good time. The games that they play, I read this review before, but I forgot about it. It's almost catered more towards, like, streamers.
Come on. That's so lame.
Well, it's not like... That's not like their solo market or anything. It's still like an 8-person max kind of game. But a lot of the games do require that you have, like, on the higher end of 8 people, because there's a lot more, like, Bidiots, I think, is a good game on the Volume 2 that you can just have, like, however many people, and it's a guessing game and it doesn't matter. On the more recent one here, Volume 4, a lot of the games do depend on how many other, like, options or characters are in the game. If everyone throws in an answer to one question and you've got to choose which one is the best, it's a lot more fun to have 8 answers than, like, 4 answers to choose from. And everything almost relies on that exact same
So does it run
idea.
Good, though, on the Switch? Like, do you have any running issue, like, actually playing it at all off the Switch?
No, in terms of, like, I mean, the hardware can handle it. It's one of the easiest
So
games.
I might actually buy the older versions and off on the Switch then. I might skip the 4th one.
Yeah, I still recommend the second one over any of the other ones, but I only played Fibbage 3 on this new one. I didn't get to play the monster dating one, which I've heard is pretty good. I think I mentioned this last podcast, but it's kind of just like sexting each other or something. It's kind of it's really weird. You're supposed to match up with a certain person, and you just like send messages to each other, and you all pick one person to date like after each round. And if you date the right person, like your monster wants to match with certain other monsters, and depending on what you say, then it'll like draw you closer to one person or another. And you want to like hint like, oh, I'm this monster, or you don't want to hint that you're that monster or something. So it's like a randomized thing. But once again, like when you're playing with 3 people, like that game doesn't work out too well. You go on like 3 dates and you're like, okay, that's clearly, Mike, and this was my response. And then the other person that we're playing with is John, and obviously John, that's his response. Like you're gonna know who's who really fucking quickly.
Right. So yeah, then I'll just pick up Fibbage, the Jackbox 2 then set.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that it runs good on the Switch and all that stuff, because that game is perfect for the Switch to bring to parties and stuff. It's like, once again, like I have to travel for right now for work and all that stuff, so I brought the Switch with me, and like I showed some of my coworkers, and they were all blown away with the Switch too, and they said, "Wait, that's all it is?" I'm like, "Yes, this is all that you need. Then you can just play the game." And they're like, "We have to get this," because the portability on the Switch is just freaking mind-boggling. And like you said too, all you need is the touchscreen, and then you just bring the screen itself to a bar or anywhere else place. You just place it down and start playing with other people. It's like great. I love it.
It depends on the game, but I mean the controllers aren't a hassle to bring along anyway.
No, yeah.
So I played that, and then the last game that I played with you, Mike, but it was Metal Gear Survive yesterday. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, Metal Gear Survive is the newest the first non-Hideo Kojima. Let me just fuck that name up. Hideo Kojima. However the fuck you pronounce it now, I can't even think. But anyway, the only Metal Gear Solid to not have pretty much the main person,
main writer, developer.
Well, I don't even know his title, so I'm not even gonna pretend to shoot for it. If you know that he's whatever he is, then say it. But
I'd say he's like director. I guess that'd be the best title you can have.
Either way, I'm not going to take a shot in the dark if I don't know. So anyway, the main dude that normally makes these games, he's outie. Konami gave him the boot, and this company was like, okay, well, we're going to continue with your series. Thus comes out Metal Gear Survive this year. Metal Gear Survive comes out on February 20th. So by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be out. But essentially, they took the last rendition of Metal Gear, being Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom... Nope. Is it the the Phantom Pain?
I'm not sure.
So they took that engine and they turned it into kind of like a survival zombies game.
I think the best example of it is like a serious version of Fortnite.
I don't think so, because you don't build build like towers and stuff.
You can build towers in that game. Actually, Metal Gear Survive. There's actually towers you can build. If you like, I actually was in the build list because like I was actually building fences and stuff. And when I was going to build some more, I saw you can actually build a giant guard tower that's like 2 stories tall.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is pretty much like Fortnite, except a more serious look to it. Look to it.
Also, it's not a battle arena. It's a zombie survival game. They come at you. Like, you have to defend...
You do realize that Fortnite wasn't originally Battle Arena. It was actually exactly that you just survive in these areas against zombie hordes, right?
But no one's going to naturally assume that. When you say Fortnite, no one's going to be like, oh,
That's
mean
what it originally was.
But that doesn't mean that everyone's going to assume that. Why would anyone assume that when it's that's not the game that actually they're playing?
Yeah, but for that version is just the free version of it. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Okay. You not like? Did you? No, I'm not like making fun of you. I'm just actually curious now. Did you? You actually thought Fortnite was just that one game mode?
Yeah.
Oh no! It was originally. It is actually the main game mode. Is that is Metal Gear Survivor's mode thing when you just fight off. You build your structure around one point and then you just defend it from zombies like that, setting up traps. Exactly the same traps as in the Metal Gear Survive.
Even if it's a feature, there's no way that that's the main mode because I've never heard about that, and I definitely know about Fortnite.
Really? You never really heard of that?
No. Everyone always considers Fortnite to be a PUBG. There's no way that anyone thinks Fortnite and thinks of survival before they think of before they think of Battle
all
Arena.
the gameplay there was out there for it. Then Fortnite just they just ran was like, oh yeah, we're gonna put this in the game too now. I'm not even joking.
No, that's fine, but okay, it doesn't matter.
I'm just blown away that you never no one realized that. That's so funny.
Either way, I don't think people would naturally think of that mode versus the other one.
That's what I was thinking when I think of Fortnite. I always thought that the PUBG thing was a toss-on thing. It's so funny that that's what took over the game.
Either way, Metal Gear Survive.
You should see all the trailers before you even make it. You'll laugh. It's really funny.
Yeah. Either way, Metal Gear Survive, zombie survival game. Pretty much, they come at you in hordes and waves, and you gotta hunker down in one spot.
Gather resources and stuff to help build you, which is kind of very limited, which kind of annoyed me, actually, finding resources in that game, especially like copper and metal.
I thought some of the ideas in the game were good, but because the entire game is based off of a previous title, being Metal Gear Solid 5, there were a lot of features that were completely fucking useless. One of the features was punching, which, why would you even do that? Yeah. You start out with 2 melee weapons and a gun, or like, your loadout can consist of like an assault rifle, a shotgun, like a knife on a pole, a battle axe, a sledgehammer.
The sledgehammer sucked.
I love the sledgehammer.
So slow.
Oh yeah, but it takes out huge waves.
I like the knife with the stick way better, especially for just single targets. It's just so much better.
Well, yeah, the sledgehammer is not for single targets. Anyway, not that you would know. Anyone that's hearing this probably hasn't played the game yet. But so the like they have punching in it, which I can understand how it transitioned over from Metal Gear Solid 5, but to have punching in a zombies game is retarded.
Yeah, it's stupid. I don't know why that's even a point.
So that's one thing. Another thing is you can crawl and you can like go prone and so you can like sneak and you can crawl. Which why? Like
they always run to the same point. They even have like a path. They show you what path they're gonna take.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's no point to crawl.
Yeah, the zombies aren't coming for you. They're coming for another thing. So there's no point. There's like no sneak damage you can do. There's nothing. There's no reason for you to crawl in this game at all or go prone or anything. The game's just about moving as fast as possible and like setting shit up. So there's like a fuck ton of bullshit. A lot of it makes no goddamn sense, and it just kind of muddies up the control scheme. But right now, I think the game looked good, but it was more or less based on another engine. I think that game style, being in that game mode, being like third person, being, crafting, survival, tower defense almost, I would probably rate it less than average currently.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Like I said, I known, like Fortnite, it felt like just a bad version of what Fortnite originally was. I don't know if they still have that version in them, but because it was exactly the same thing. They had the same traps and all that stuff. Gathering resources was such a pain in the butt in the Metal Gear Survive, trying to find metal. In Fortnite, all you had to do is walk up to a metal car. Anything that's metal, hit it with a pickaxe, and you got metal instantly, which made it nice and easy to do and was fun. And so, like, after just seeing Fortnite, then playing Metal Gear Survive, I just felt like, why did you do this? Like, why not just try to do a PUBG version instead of doing this? Because, like you said, they just got rid of half their mechanics, became useless. Like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, they really didn't tidy up the gameplay at all. I mean,
it was fun, but it was because I was doing it with you and like 2 of our other friends,
But it was fun, I think, because we tried it out for 10 minutes. Going like deep into the game, I don't think would be that great. Most of the game on top of that is spent in the customizing, like in the previous screen where you set your loadout.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that is one of the worst ways to have a multiplayer game, when everyone's waiting in a lobby for someone to get ready. Because
yeah.
Like, can you imagine how frustrating that would be moving forward? We were only like we were like one of the beginning levels or something. It was like level 10 or 15 is like a pretty early level for that game. And we spent probably like 15, 20 minutes before every game just checking our loadout, changing our styles, all that. You've got to manually level up. You've got to manually repair all your weapons. You've got to manually create ammo and change your loadout and customize your avatar. Like, you can change what they're wearing, and you've got to repair your armor and stuff too. All that shit takes so long and takes you so long takes so much out of the game. Honestly, the more and more I think about it, it was not that good at all. I mean,
See, it's like this was what originally Fortnite was, where you just do exactly what you do in Metal Gear.
All right,
I'm just saying to prove, like, I was like, it took me a while to find it, but yeah, they do still have it. Sorry, and it's like where it was just a zombie game.
It's not okay.
Just saying. I'm sorry. I know. I'm just saying. I'm just showing you. It's like this was what it originally was, and so that's why I like when people are gonna say, like, "What is he talking about, Fortnite?" I'm like, I'm telling you, dude. Fortnite was originally exactly what Metal Gear was, but better.
I wanna comment on what you're saying, but I know it's just gonna spin off into another tangent. So
That's the point. What?
Nothing. I just want to move past it.
I don't want to. It's just so weird to me that people realize that what Fortnite originally was. It's just a really funny thing, and I give major props to Fortnite to do a complete 180 though on the product. Sorry.
Fine.
Sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
It's like it's so weird to me. It's very shocking.
Okay.
You're saying.
Focus time. Yeah, that was it really. Metal Gear Survive I couldn't recommend. But the
loading screen, yeah, that's what we're talking about. It was so much fun. The loadout area.
I didn't think it was fun. I thought it took forever for everyone to get set up. If you're playing in the game later...
because we get them shooting each other with shotguns.
Yeah, that was also a really dumb feature.
Yeah, especially if you play with randos.
So what you can do is you get unlimited ammo in the starting area, and you can just shoot people over and over, and what it does is, if it's like a handgun, it kind of like stumbles them, and you can't do anything as that character.
Yeah,
like,
and
if
by the way, though, just like to say people know what the starting area looks like, it's just a blank, it's just nothing around you, except for just like these little circle areas that you walk into to change to do certain things.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's like a complete nothingness.
But when someone shoots you, you can't go over to like the workbench and repair your stuff. You can't go over to your like closet and set up your new like style or gear or whatever. When someone's just constantly shooting you with a shotgun, laying you on the ground, like your character falls to the floor, gets up, and kind of like takes a second, and in that time, the person shooting you can just reload their gun and shoot you down again.
It's great.
It's funny, but can you imagine how fucking retarded that would be playing with randoms?
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be awful. I did like the jump in feature though, because like you started with two of our other friends right off the bat, and then I downloaded it. And then when I started, I was in a loadout area, but then all I did was just join a game and immediately just throw me into the game with you guys.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. That's a nice feature, which I thought was nice. But it's still not a good game in the end. It's something it shouldn't be a standalone game. It should be DLC. In fact, it should be just free. There's nothing there. There's not enough there to be anything, honestly.
It's I don't know if I'd say it's free, but I do agree. I think it should be DLC. I mean, it's just such a not fitting game style for that. It's not a fitting mode for that game style.
Yeah, I do want to step back what I said though, because like it is nice that they allow you just to buy this, because like we complain this about all the time with Call of Duty games. Just allow us to buy just the zombie mode, and we'll be happy. We said this before, so I'm going to say this for the two. It is nice that you have the ability to buy this separately from the game, but I think that if you own the game that it's styled off of, I think you should get it for free.
This is interesting. So I just I don't know if we specified. So we're in the open beta right now. The 2 days before the game is officially released. We didn't pay for this game. It was free on Steam.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm looking up reviews for the game. Steam, 6 out of 10. Microsoft, 3 out of 10. Best Buy, 5 out of 5.
Who the fuck is looking for Best Buy's reviews?
It's like 60%, 60%, 100%. Best Buy's like, yeah, you go Metal Gear Survive.
In the one like store that's failing in multiple areas, it's like who goes to Best Buy for reviews?
That kind of made me laugh, I guess.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, so would not recommend
either
of the games that I played this week. You Don't Know Jack Party Pack Volume 4 is good, but there's a better one if you haven't played any of them. And then Metal Gear Survive, it's $40 when it's going to come out.
$40?
Yeah. It has enough content, but there's still... it just doesn't feel like a polished game. It's got all the polish of animation and features, but it doesn't have the polish of like everything acting fluidly.
And the reason why I think 40 is so expensive because they just took it from our last game, all those motion stuff that's moving, and just put it in this one. I feel like so that's why I don't think it should be really $40.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like they have half the features don't have any purpose at all. So.
Yeah. But okay, so that was my week then. To recap, watched Black Panther and Cars 3 for some fucking reason, and I played You Don't Know Jack Party Pack Volume 4 and Metal Gear Survive. Mike, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before our top 5?
So like I said on the movies I watched, I've also started playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. That game is stupid good, and it's very surprising just how much is in it and how good it looks too, and once again a very tiny little console. And I do have things I'm not a fan of. I'm kind of a fan of the cold future being really cold and really hot, honestly, until I finally found a bloody jacket that I can put on to keep my guy warmer. But the thing, like in this game, another way to keep yourself warm is to make a dish of something that has the properties of keeping you warm. The problem I was knowing though is that in the beginning of the game, especially when you go to a bunch of shops, I was looking everywhere to find hot peppers to make a thing to make it so I can make the dish so I can last in cold weather. But no one bloody sells hot peppers. I'm like, this is a stupid function if you don't have at least the ability to cook the food to do it. It kind of made me really frustrated, but it got better when I found a jacket. And I was like, okay, cool, I found a jacket finally. It just really pissed me off. It was like, really? No one here sells fucking hot peppers, one of the most important things in the game? I can't buy it? I have to go find it?
Well, what happened, I mean...
It was so annoying.
You go to where you found it before. Like,
yeah.
In the first area, it's pretty easy to find them.
But you have to climb up a freaking mountain. You have to walk all the way around. But
you can teleport.
Yeah, but then you teleport in the cold zone and you lose a bunch of health. That's like the closest part to go to those. In the starting zone?
You start on the tower, and then you just jump and fly over to it.
Oh, I guess, yeah, you could jump from the tower and fly over to it.
Anyway,
Still stupid, though. That, I have to go all the way back to the starting zone to get these peppers.
It's like a 2-button press, and you just warp over there.
Yeah, but I'd rather just have it stocked up somewhere else. And it made more sense if I could just buy the bloody peppers from someone. You know, it's like you have these stores, but actually getting rubies is a lot harder in this one than it was in the other Zelda games. You can't just cut grass and get free rubies.
Yeah, pretty much rubies are just you sell a bunch of shit.
Here's a quick question for you about the game. So, when you find these ores that say they have these water properties or fire properties, lightning properties, should I be holding on to those or can I sell those for money?
Oh, I don't know yet.
Yeah, people I kind of looked it up. It's oh, you can use this to upgrade stuff. But I found the upgrading fairy, and it's she just uses these random things like mushrooms and bat wings and stuff.
There's other fairies, though.
Okay, so I'll hold on to them for now.
Okay, so I've got a really, really funny story to tell that I've never mentioned yet. For some reason, it slipped my mind the last time I was playing Breath of the Wild, and I never brought it up in the podcast. But it was making me laugh so hard. And I've got, full, I didn't stream it, but I've got, a full recording of it, and it's pretty goddamn hilarious. So... Have you been to the Gorons yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. This isn't a spoiler or anything, but because you were talking about the temperature, there's places where it's very cold, and then there's places where it's very hot. The Gorons, they live on a volcano. It's very hot there.
Yeah. I figure I see the volcano in the distance, oh, the Gorons live there. I'm like, okay.
So, I was making my way... That's the last place I've got to go to, and I haven't touched the game in 2 weeks. I know I'm trying to get back to it, but I start hiking up this hill, and when you're warm, you kind of start smoking, and then you just erupt into flames, and you start taking damage.
That's funny.
And
I haven't done that yet. That's great.
I couldn't find anything to cool me down, so I ran up the entire mountain on flames, and just all I did was just pound food to not die. So I'd eat a meal, run for 30 seconds as my character is engulfed in fire, and then at the last health I would pause it, eat another dish, and just keep running up the hill. And I did that for it takes 20 minutes to get up the hill. I wasted all of my food just engulfed in flames running up the Goron Mountain.
Oh my god.
And when you finally get to the top, the only person that actually recognizes that you're in bad clothing is the Goron shopkeep, because he's the one that sells the fire-resistant clothes. Gotcha. Everyone else, though, has their, normal phrases and stuff. So, when you talk to someone, it stops you from taking damage. So I would talk to everyone to not burst into flames. And, I'd like be on fire running at these Gorons, and then they'd be like, how are you doing? The shops today are open till this time or whatever. And then someone's like, I really don't mind working in the mines or something. And my guy's like on fire running up to them. And the only person that said shit was the Goron that worked the shop. And he's like, oh, you need real clothes.
This is the idea. I wish it was kind of multiplayer. The game just be more with the words. I look towards the mountain. I just see a little sprig of flame just chucking up the mountain.
Well, that's the thing.
Stopping every 1 second to eat.
Well, what happened was the only reason that I was dedicated to the cause is when you get to the Goron Mountain. If you're smart, what you do is you activate the shrines first that they give you like the map location, and then you can warp to them.
Yeah.
So I climbed up to that, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty fucking high up off the ground. I bet I could make a pretty good leap to the Gorons if I just jumped off this and flew in. So I jumped off, and about halfway down my descent, I burst into flames. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna fucking turn around now. I can make a bunch of time if I just keep soaring. So like, once I made that commitment to keep going, it wasn't like I got somewhere. It wasn't like I got halfway up the mountain and then I was like, no, I need to go find some peppers. I need to go find some like cooling stuff. It was like you made the commitment. Like you tell yourself, I'm not gonna fucking turn around and get this shit. You're just like, how far away can the Gorons really be? Really fucking far away.
I think it'd be pretty fun. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to look around the base of the mountain first and see if we can find a shopkeep with warmer clothes. With clothes that keep me cooler.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there's food.
Did you try stripping down off all your clothes?
I didn't.
I wonder if that would help.
I don't know. But I feel like a guy naked on fire.
Probably, if you're on fire, I think being naked won't really fully help you either.
Yeah. Either way, it was like the funniest goddamn thing ever. I just running up this mountain. All these enemies are like aggroing me and running at me, and I'm just in flames like this.
I don't have time for this shit.
Pretty much. So there's so much the last thing that I did was buy the clothes, and I was just like fucking around the town, and then I turned off the game and I haven't touched it in a little bit. But so that was literally the last thing I did was like do this marathon run on fire up a fucking volcano.
That makes me laugh so hard. Just picturing that too.
Yeah.
Oh man. Fuck. Because like I know what mountain you're talking about because I can see it. You can see it in a long distance. Just seeing a little speck running on fire up that mountain just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Just stopping every 1 second to just keep on running. Then.
Yeah. You run up the mountain and then like 30 seconds later you pull out like a meat skewer. And you're like, okay, we're good.
This is a hot meal. Just eating a hot meal while on fire.
Yeah. You're just like holding it above your head on the fire, like that's engulfed your skull. And you're like, okay, that's warm now.
All your food in your inventory just gets cooked. So it's like all just meals.
Alright. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Did you have anything else to talk about Zelda?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny too. Is that like when we talk about aggroing creatures and just avoiding them? That's what much I do. If I know I don't have to fight a creature, I just avoid them because you don't get experience or anything for fighting them. So I'm like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
Which I think is like I don't find that bad. It is kind of a it just reminds me of the old Zelda games. So I realized like, yeah, I don't get experience for fighting you, so why would I want to fight you? So it's just like, all right, bye. So it's just it's a kind of a different way of me just realizing the game's like, yeah, I'm not forced to fight them for experience like in Dark Souls. You know, you're forced to fight them because you need experience, those souls, you know, to level up. And they're difficult as hell. In Zelda, they're very challenging too, but you don't have to fight them. You don't gain anything for fighting them. Except there are sometimes camps with like battle chests in them, and I just call them battle chests because the only way to open them is killing all the creatures in the campsite. But I'm like, all right, I usually they're not that important, so like I just leave them.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally got enough armor and stuff so I can actually take hits. Except for this one time when I walked up this giant minotaur dude that was like 3 stories tall.
Oh yeah.
And just walked up and just killed me. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to that area.
There's a couple of those guys around. They're fun.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna avoid you for that area for a bit. That's obviously out of my league right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, our top 5 this week is top 5 biggest letdowns in gaming. So the criteria for this was you had to personally buy the game.
Yeah.
You couldn't say No Man's Sky and be like, oh, I never played it, but that game sucked.
Honestly, I call a little side note rant in that. I think that's bullshit. Where people say like, oh yeah, like No Man's Sky was a bad buy, and then people who return ahead like 100 hours in it already. I'm like, really? You played it for 100 hours and you say you didn't get your money's worth out of it?
Yeah, that's a hard sell for me.
That's why I noticed a lot of people like were returning and saying, yeah, I did this and this and I want to return. Like, you played like 100 hours in already. You got your money's worth, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like we said that we bought and we thought we were let down, because and all that stuff. So, you started last time, so I'll start this time. Once again, we just do a quick rundown. We give our bottom 3, and then we trade. Then we do our second, and then we trade. Then we do our final.
I do want to say I'm very passionate about this list. There's a lot of anger that was built that built this list.
Oh yeah,
a lot of young childhood Benjamins that. There were a lot of tears.
I was really trying to hard think back to old games I played that I didn't like. I couldn't think of any, so mine are more modern actually games. I really tried thinking hard back then, and I just couldn't think of any.
That's funny.
Maybe I blocked them out. I tried so hard.
I thought of plenty of old school games because when you're a kid,
yeah,
$60, $80, it takes so long to get that fucking
and
money.
That's what I thought. I can think of something. I couldn't think of it. It was like I had a hard time thinking of anything back then.
Yeah, like when a game sucks now, I mean, obviously it's not like money is like we're throwing it,
But
like,
we have jobs though now, so like it's not that big of a deal for us anymore. But I mean, it still is. But like now that we have jobs, like it's like okay, it's like a bad investment. But like back then, that was like you said, that was a shit ton of money back then for a kid.
Yeah. But okay, Mike, you can go first. What's your top 5?
Yeah, I think it's better for me to just go first because it seems like you're really passionate. So I want to give you the more of the time to explain yours.
It's all good, bud.
So my bottom one is Battle Block Theater. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, I do.
But I bought that, and you bought that too. But we a few other people knew we bought it, and I was like, we're all like super excited because it looked like a really just fun game to play with other people. But the online thing didn't work. There was no multiple, you couldn't play online. They said they had it, but it just didn't work. And it was just the most frustrating thing because the gameplay was a lot of fun, but you just couldn't play online with it. Because it was absolute shit. If you couldn't play, you couldn't log in, and when you finally got in, it would just kick you out and everything like that. It was super frustrating.
Yeah, this is a game that has like short puzzle levels that are based off of cooperation and teamwork.
Yeah.
It's a platforming 2D.
Yeah, it's a platform 2D, and there's also like a multiplayer version when you just verse each other, which sort of but most likely you just get kicked out. And it was just so annoying because I was super excited for the game. And I bought it, and it even showed it because I only had 2 hours in the gameplay. And I was like, fuck this, I'm done. It was like one of those games I just bought and just never touched again because it just didn't fucking work. And it's like, oh, you can play single player, but the game was not based off of playing single player at all. It was meant to be played with other people, and yet you couldn't play with other people because the online function didn't fucking work. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, if you're gonna do that, make it fucking work. And I'm sorry, it was like 2015. I mean, sure, it's expensive, but it shouldn't be that fucking hard to make it work. But yeah, that's my number 5 because the online didn't work. The gameplay worked, but the game didn't.
This is going to be a very passionate list. That was only your top 5.
Yeah, that's my bottom 5. It's just like, it's just fucking
when we get
annoying.
to number 1, I feel like you're only going to be able to barely say it through your screams. You're like, mother fucking this game,
Number 4 is Tiny Metal. Just because there's
the game from fucking last week.
Yeah, last week I bought it because I was super excited, and it's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's like Advanced Wars," and I've been playing it, and I'm just like, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work out. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's nice, but it's not even done yet. Like I bought off the Switch, and the multiplayer function is not even ready yet. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, you can't just sell something like that. And not warn someone. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, it doesn't have multiplayer yet. It's still working on it. I'm like, motherfucker, please. What's wrong with you? And the gameplay is kind of just flat. I'm playing along with it, but it's a trudge. I just don't care. And the storyline for the single player is just shit compared to Advanced Wars. And maybe it's not fair to compare it to another game, but this other game is way older and on a Game Boy Advance too to top it off, and it's still better. I'm like, what the fuck? And then, that's my number 4. And then my number 3 is,
Did you not think of it?
No, I did. I was thinking about maybe switching 2 things over, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to keep it the way it is because I like it the way it is.
So what was your number 3?
Number 3 is Destiny. Destiny, and I actually just played a small amount of it, but I got it, and like, because it's made by Bungie, and the same people made Halo, and I fucking love Halo. But then, so I was like, cool, Destiny will be different, all that stuff. And they get Destiny, and it's not. It is just, there's no story to it. Like, they even admitted that, like, they even give you the option to skip the story to level you up. And it's like, oh, you want to skip this part and just start playing this. I'm like, what? Like, are you serious? This is the people who made Halo, like the series I love with a great story, at least to me, and all that stuff. And then you're telling me, like, I should just skip the story and all this bullshit part? I'm like, come on.
Destiny's actually my number 5, so we can tag team this one a bit. It's going to be the first one I talk about. But no, that was my exact thing too, is I got Destiny, the triple DLC, like the Taken King on PS4, and the first thing it tells you is, do you want instant to level 60? Or, like, do you want to, like, jump to endgame and start playing? And I was like, why would you do that? Why would I... Like, Borderlands are, like... normal games, they're not like, do you want to skip everything?
Yeah, I'm like, no. I'm like, you're Bungie. You guys have been, like, for me, it's like, because you know me, and obviously if you guys listen to podcasts, I love fucking Halo. I love the storyline. I thought it was great. I thought the enemies were cool, and then even, like, the gunplay was good in Halo, and then when I played Destiny 2, the gunplay was just awful. Just boring, in fact. It just felt like, I felt like there was no strategy in Destiny to shoot anything. It was just like, just stay in the open and shoot at them. That's all you did. You didn't even have to take cover at all. The enemies didn't have any real intelligence, at least to me, and it just felt very bland.
I didn't even really get to the point where I was, like, dissecting enemy movements and stuff. What hit me the most was that they throw you into this expectation that, like, oh, you've played this game before. Like, there's the instant level 60 or like, instant max level that we talked about, but then also the hub that you go to, they, like, don't explain how that works at all. There's, like, places to, like, customize you and your ship and, like, where to get missions and shit. But they just, like, dump you in it, and then there's other people running around, and you're like, I'm playing on PS4. I don't, like, do voice chat or anything, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. What am I supposed to do? And the last thing for me is that the customization... I don't know why I guess I'm dumb to think this, but I was hearing that the customization was like Borderlands, where you switch out gear all the time. You get new, like, you kill an enemy, you get his gun or something, and then you move on. Like Borderlands, every enemy drops a gun.
Yeah, and it's always going to be usually random. Sometimes, like, it'd be really good or just really shitty.
And
sometimes.
in Destiny... 2 guns dropped the entire time I was playing. Yeah. One in the tutorial where, like, the guy at the end drops, like, a gun or 2 or something. And then in the next, like, quest I did, the end guy, that dropped a gun. And I got the impression that these are pre-made guns. Like, they're not like all the stats mixed together like Borderlands 2. It's like this gun has, like, 3 different options that it can be, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like I was going to be doing this, like, switching out guns all the time, like, the Diablo style, the Borderlands style, where it's just, like, always doing, like, the smallest upgrades to make your character that much better. It's like, no, it's like 2 hours of gameplay, and then you get, like, a new shoulder pad or something.
Yeah, and the armor equipment I thought was lame, too. And none of it made sense. Just, like, the wording, it's like, I know people say, oh, you just gotta get more into it and understand it. I'm like, no, I shouldn't have to play this, like, 3 hours to fully understand something. I should know, like, what this meant, but, like, they had just, like, random power. This gives you this much power, and they were all just power. I'm like, what? Why not just have defense and strength and, like, well, I guess, like, because, like, everyone says it's an RPG, but an RPG first-person shooter just doesn't work out in the end, I guess, for me. I don't know. It just was bad.
Well, I don't know, because Borderlands is one of my favorite series.
Well, Borderlands was better because they just did the guns, though. Like, there was... Well, yeah, the Borderlands did it right?
The other thing to talk about with it too is that the class system was dog shit.
Oh yeah.
So you could be like a rogue or a warrior or some other bullshit thing, and there was literally no difference.
No point at all. Yeah, I felt like there was no reason to be one or the other.
Yeah, like Borderlands, you hit level 5 and immediately you can tell. Oh, the support class gets a turret that he shoots on the side.
That gives ammo too when you upgrade that and all that.
The sniper rifle guy throws a bird. The berserker gets out his fists and starts punching. Like, there's such
health.
there's such diversity in character class.
The magic Destiny, golem does the AoE damage.
Yeah, Destiny, it was like 15% reload speed on assault rifles or something. I only played for like 2 fucking hours. I was that pissed about the game. But it was bullshit. I mean, you couldn't even tell one class from another just by looking at it.
Yeah, and it was just stupid. The hub area was dumb too. Felt like it was a waste of time. You always get teleported that one little town area where everyone spawns in the community area.
Yeah.
You get to like walk miles just to do one thing. Like, no, I'd rather just have an option than have to deal with all that shit.
I don't know. The whole situation confused me, and the game just acted like, oh, you've played this before, you know what you're doing, you know, and on top of that, it just felt like they knew that the base game was dog shit, and so they were just like, let's just push you past all that to get you to the good stuff, and it's like, that's not how a game should be treated.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, and like, right when I saw that, I'm like, alright, you have no respect for your game at all. You know your game is shit. Instead of trying to fix the whole campaign story, you're just telling me to skip it. And like, are you for real? Because I'm like, I don't really play many multiplayer games anymore, so when I was playing Destiny, I was actually playing for a story, and like, you're telling me your story is shit, and like, I don't want to play with a bunch of randos. I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah.
Because not many people I knew had the games. I was like, why bother?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, well, we can move on. So that was Mike's number 3. That was also my number 5. So
That's a perfect way to go over to you then.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is I thought I'd join in because it kind of transitioned well. So my number 5 was Destiny. That was the triple DLC pack for PS4. My number 4 is Guitar Hero Live. So I actually have the guitar in my closet over there.
Was that the one was the string thing?
No, Guitar Hero Live it had 3 buttons on the top and 3 buttons on the ground. Let me just grab it for you. 1 second.
Because I know there's so many different guitar things, so it's hard for me. I never really got into the whole thing.
Yeah, so I've had the 3 buttons
this
on the top.
one, yeah.
So I liked the idea of the buttons on the top and the bottom, but the biggest thing that it broke down to is that it's a puzzle game. I consider Guitar Hero a puzzle game, essentially. It's a strategy, it's a puzzle game. You've got to memorize. You've got to, like, get your fingers figured out, and you've got to kind of, like, work with it. But it's pretty much a puzzle game that you can't fail. Mike, did you know that if you don't play a single note in the song, you'll still pass?
What?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Yeah.
What is the point of that? It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's like playing Tetris, and if the blocks just if like your column just kept getting longer and longer, if you didn't like organize
the bottom
it,
would just delete itself.
Yeah, so it was the dumbest fucking thing ever. Why would you play a song, or why would you challenge yourself if you couldn't fail? The hardest and best parts about a song were like failing to Dragon Force over and over again on Guitar Hero 3. The hardest parts were playing Kansas on Guitar Hero 2 and like figuring that out. Megadeth.
Like, especially when you're a new player, the accomplishment wasn't getting a high score. The accomplishment was actually finishing the song.
Yeah.
That was the accomplishment of it. At least for me, because like I was always shit. So like I never cared about the points. I just cared to actually finish the damn song. That was the greatest achievement for me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that takes off the whole point of it.
And the cool thing about Guitar Hero here is that I do actually legitimately like that there's top buttons and low buttons. The thing that just fucking sucks is that they couldn't make a good game out of it. They had to make it so that everyone could enjoy it rather than it was actually a challenging game.
Yeah.
So, it was the dumbest fucking thing in the world. I mean, a puzzle game that you can't lose. Why would anyone bother?
Yeah, and it's like, when, like, in my opinion too, and like, even though I've never been an expert with the game, but the main accomplishment wasn't the score, it was actually finishing the song then, and man, just finishing a song felt fucking great.
The last thing about Guitar Hero Live that really fucking sucked is that they were running so low on actually decent songs, aside from the game not being able to fail, they were also reaching out to other markets and picking songs that were hardly played on guitar. I mean, like, it was a lot of modern shit that you haven't heard of. There was only, like, 2 songs that I really appreciated in it, and they didn't have, like, all those classic hits that the Guitar Heroes 1 through 3 had. I mean, the songs that everyone likes in Guitar Hero 1 through 3 are the classics. I like a lot of the faster, like, metal punk rock songs. And they went with like more poppy bullshit in this one. It was so weird. So that really bothered me with Guitar Hero Live. Otherwise, I mean, like, it was a cool idea. I liked the guitar and everything, and that's why it was just such a disappointment and a letdown. Is on paper it seemed great, and then when you realize that you can't fail, why? My number 3 is where these games really start hurting, Mike.
Oh yeah, that's when they start hurting you.
Like I'm fucking bitter about number 3. It was the most recent on as my list goes from 3 to 2 to 1. The games are gonna get further and further into my childhood, and it's only just gonna like.
I'm so excited.
It's only just gonna hurt more and more. So number 3 wasn't too long ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. Number 3, if you've ever heard about this game, it was called Cube World.
Isn't it like one of those like starter games?
I don't know what you mean by that, but Cube
okay.
World was essentially, it was Minecraft, but essentially Minecraft with an RPG element.
Yeah, okay, that's the one I'm thinking of. Okay, yeah.
Not cubed. Yeah, okay.
Cube.
So,
yeah, this one, I played a little bit.
It was a randomly generated, like Minecraft, world that was based off
I played
of...
a little bit of it.
Yeah. But it was all RPG based, where one person was a rogue, one person was a warrior, one person was a healer, etc., etc. Towns were made, people gave out quests, and then dungeons were randomly created. The idea was awesome. And this motherfucker who made the game, his name was like something with a W, I can't remember, but
We'll call him Wayne.
well, here, so it says on his thing, it's Wolfram von Funk. So I can't remember.
Sounds like a douche already.
Oh, Wally. That's what his like online tag was Wollay, Wally. And that motherfucker, he worked on the game for a while. He made a barely passable product, put it out there, and was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll update it. It's gonna get better." Never ever. Just fucking took the money and ran. And
I actually forgot I was wondering what happened in this game.
It looked awesome.
Yeah.
And there were some big issues with it. You can't even get the game anymore because the guy had half enough decency to take it offline so people couldn't pay for, a shitty product. But we played it. We loved it for like, oh, this game is going to be great when it's finished. Right now there's game-breaking bugs everywhere, but I love the idea. And he just never fucking touched it ever again.
This is a shame. Because, yeah, I thought it was, like, a good thing, too, because it reminded me when I first got Minecraft and all that stuff. Like, Minecraft started the same way, too, with a great concept but nothing in it, but then, like, not actually added on to it and kept on going. So I thought that was going to happen to that, and actually, I just completely forgot about this game.
Not even that, but Minecraft didn't have anything game-breaking. Minecraft had less features, but nothing really was wrong with the game when it was starting. Cube World classes were overpowered than others. Enemies were... could not take damage. There were skills and things that you could do that pretty much I remember that the hunter class in the game was the best class because there was a glitch you could do to pretty much fly and get anywhere faster than anyone, and like it made everything else useless. In a class-based game, that is a game-breaking bug because then just everyone becomes hunter or rangers or whatever it was. So yeah, Cube World fucking sucks. I'm angry. Fuck that game. Going back through the 3 that I've mentioned is number 5 is Destiny. It's a game that decided to cut out all of its own content. Number 4 is Guitar Hero, the puzzle game that you can't fail. And number 3 is Cube World, the game that was abandoned.
Yeah. My number 2 is people maybe disagree with me a lot, but it was BioShock Infinite. I'm sorry, that game was just shit to me. I got nothing out of that game compared to the first BioShock they ever came out with. That's still like one of my top favorite first-person shooter games out there. A great story, great fucking mechanics. You can play that game in so many different ways. There was like, you can just do most of your, like in the first one, with just like using your abilities, your atom abilities, or using the weapons that you had with these cool upgrades, setting up these awesome traps. And the story was so good, and like the ability to choose like how things ended was nice touch too. Even though it was kind of whitewashed a bit though with your choices. What I mean by whitewashed is like there's obviously a better choice to go with than the other one, and that was to either sacrifice these little girls for the atom or to let them go to getting a little less atom.
Essentially there wasn't any real ethical or moral challenge.
Because in the end, if you let them go, you would actually, they'll give you a present, which then would give you way more atom then. So there was no point to actually sacrificing them because you would get more Adam in the end if you didn't. Because every 3 you didn't kill, you get a little present, and then that present had like 200 Adam in it. It's like, well, okay, then that totally makes my choice pointless. Then why would I want to not kill them because they give me more shit in the end? And like, because like I think because you get like 60 if you let them go, and then like if you kill them, I think you get like 100 or something like that. And so with 3 you get 200, then bonus, it's like, okay, that's no point then, because I get additional 20 Adam then if I don't kill them. Out of the 3, which I thought was silly, but still, it was still great. Absolutely loved it. That was my only complaint of the game. So the second one came out. It was a different version of when you play actually a Big Daddy, and it was good, but honestly, I didn't really care much of it because it's the same place. And then the third one, biggest hype ever. It's like this time you're above ground, and it's this whole cool thing. And it's like an escort mission, they said, but don't worry, your person's going to help you out and all that stuff. She's actually going to be doing all these cool things to help you out. She'll have these abilities that, like, she'd be the main animal user. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is going to be great. And so then I start playing it, and yeah, she never does anything. She never gets hurt because she goes off and hides all the time. She does nothing. The only thing she does beneficial to you is that she tosses you items while you're going from point A to point B without finding anything. It's like, oh yeah, here, I found this random health pack. Here you go. I'm like, cool. But when a fight breaks out, she does jack shit. I mean, she does nothing. And it was completely opposite of what the trailer showed. The gameplay is mediocre. The weapons were boring to me. The upgrading them was boring too. The add-on things that you could use were awful too. Unlike the first one, when there was way cooler things you can do to mix and match them. You couldn't do that with this in the third one. And the storyline was just shit. I didn't care for it one bit. There was no real choice in the end. Of course, that was the spoiler, main plot of it. But I thought it was just really just stupid, especially the ending. The ending was so far-fetched, it was just idiotic. It just really pissed me off because Bioshock is a great... even the second one had a good story to it. I actually enjoyed it, too, of you being the Big Daddy and all that stuff. But the third one, I just got nothing out of it. I mean, sure, it looked beautiful, but that doesn't suffice a game for me, especially for a Bioshock game. It was just so lackluster compared to the first one that I was like, why did I waste $60 on this? This shouldn't have been $60. But yeah, that's my second one is Bioshock Infinite.
I actually liked Infinite.
I hated it. Yeah. Of course, that's just my own preference, but that's just me, though.
That's fine.
I thought it was like, especially what they said was going to be in it, and then that didn't end up being in it at all. I was like, okay. But yeah, that's my number 2, Bioshock Infinite. Go fuck yourself, guys. What's your number 2?
My number 2... Mike, would you say that Nazi Zombies is your favorite game? Or would you...
No. I wouldn't say that would be my favorite. It's one of them.
Yeah. I think I've got the most fond memories playing zombies.
I think I have very fond memories playing it too, but I have also have very fond memories of other games I played too, like Halo, Perfect Dark, and some of Time Splitters and stuff. It's with those games. It's one of the ones that sticks out the most, maybe because it's the most recent one though too, with a good especially with you, just a good thing to head over to a friend's house and all that stuff. But I play I have brothers too, so I played a lot of good multiplayer games with them too. So
yeah,
but still, I still loved it. I still think it's great.
I was I think I was a junior in college, maybe a sophomore, and a game came out.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say someone touched you. I was like, okay, good.
Fuck it. Sophomore in college, a lot of people touched me. Like, just kidding.
I'm so alone.
So Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was the sequel that just didn't live up to expectation.
I remember that in my college days too, when I was trying to play with some of my friends. We're all saying the same thing too.
So I liked Call of Duty World at War, the first zombies game. A lot of people think that Black Ops 1 was the first zombies game. Figure it out, bud.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah, so anyway, Call of Duty World at War came out when I was in high school. Senior year, fantastic. Call of Duty Black Ops came out when I was freshman in college. Made a lot of really good friends off that game.
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much,
a good one.
Pretty much we played my college buddies and I played that game constantly, and that's how we became friends, you know? It was just, do you want to play zombies, or do you want to play some Call of Duty? So we had like a legacy based off of that game. We had a legacy based off of even World at War from college. Like, we would play that one as well. Nazi Zombies defined a lot of my friendships. And then Call of Duty Black Ops 2 came out, Mike.
And it destroyed everything.
The much anticipated sequel. They were saying that zombies new and improved, Mike. They were saying all this other stuff that no one gave a shit about. Yeah. Because who plays Call of Duty for any other reason other than multiplayer, of course, is good, but anyone that likes Black Ops more than the other ones knows that zombies is where it's at. So, Black Ops 2 comes out, load it up. Who gives a shit about the multiplayer of the story? We go straight to zombies.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the map Transit, Mike?
I'll probably know it if I saw it.
You ride around in a bus.
Oh, yeah! The bus level.
It's also known as the worst level in the world.
Yeah.
This is the one that came along with the game. And let me tell you, friends, we actively tried to like this. We played this
we tried.
We played this for weeks.
But we tried, too. I remember when I tried playing with you, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I hurting myself playing this game?
Yeah. So Mike and I didn't go to the same college, we should say. So when I talk about my friends, this is discluding Mike, but Mike
he brought it home with them, and I got to play it with him.
Yeah. So
I regret those days.
It was rough. Those were some dark days. But so Transit, also considered one of the worst maps in zombies, is a map where it's kind of like mini maps. Where it's only got 1 or 2 buildings in each area.
I think there's like 4 areas or 3.
There's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, okay.
And you go from one place to the other using a transit bus, like a.
It's just the bus.
Yeah, and so that's the only way that you can traverse one place to the other. Pretty much, if you try to leave these areas, you can make it from one area to the next, but it is very hard. It's heavy fog, and there's stuff that attacks you in the fog.
These little imps that get you, so it's hard, and they're hard to shoot at because they're little, because then you have to stop to shoot them, and if you're stopping, that means more are coming at you.
Well, you can't even shoot them. They jump on you, and they disable your gun. You have to keep knifing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is that it's not in your favor to not use the bus. But the thing about it is you can't control the bus. The bus naturally goes around the map at its own pace. So you have to not only, like, the normal things that someone does in Nazi Zombies on Call of Duty is you have to turn on the power. You have to upgrade your character with, like, perks.
Yeah,
you like fast reload and double tap and extra health. And then you upgrade your weapons. Well, it's really fucking hard to do that when you've got to wait on this bus. So now you've got to either sacrifice getting further in the round, like purposefully holding off one round after another just so you can be at the right place at the right time, which slows down the game significantly, or you have to risk going into high levels without being fully prepared.
Yeah.
The pace was fucking terrible. The map itself was pretty darn huge and impressive, but they covered 80% of it in fog, and you couldn't do shit with it. The game itself was just dog shit.
Yeah, what's also known too is like, oh, I like this gun in this one area. You're in, like, you just go to the next area. I need more ammo. Well, that means you have 4 more bus rides to get back to that one gun in the wall that you wanted.
Yes.
And it was so annoying.
Everything that Mike was saying there is 100%. You have a gun that you picked up in another area. You run out of ammo. Well, you can either get a gun for full price at the area that you're in, or you can wait 3 stops to go to the next area.
Just struggle with just, like, ammo managing that. It completely just changed how Nazi Zombies meant to be played at. You know, you hold up for an area, then you move on to the next. With this bus and with limited resources, just took it all out of it.
It was the first iteration of Nazi Zombies going above and beyond what anyone wanted it to be.
Yeah.
There were a couple instances actually before. Shangri-La, not the best map ever. Call of the Dead wasn't the best, but it was all right. But Transit was the first decision that you were like, ooh, what are they doing? They're putting way too much crap into these games now. So the fact that was the staple that was the base Nazi Zombies level that came with Black Ops 2, that was a tough pill to swallow.
Oh yeah.
And I was still holding on for dear life that this game was going to redeem itself when the first DLC came out. And then the first DLC came out called Die Rise, and once again, it was one of the worst maps I think I've ever played.
When was Die Rise?
Die Rise was you were in a high rise. You were in a skyscraper.
Oh, that one. That one was interesting. It was a bad map, but interesting design.
You could only go in one direction because it forced you to like jump down through holes in ceilings and stuff.
So it was a skyscraper that was falling apart. So then you had that's just giving people the picture of their mind, all that stuff.
Yeah. So that's how it works. Is that you can only.
How'd you go back up in the tower again?
There was one tower leaning up against it. It was two skyscrapers and one was fallen over. And to get over to it, you had to go to the other side and then like go up this tilted. I can't remember exactly, but pretty much there was a way that the tilted tower leaning on this other one helped you get back up to the top of it. But pretty much so from the start, you could only work your way down to go back up. And you had to do a full circuit before you could get anything half decent, if I remember.
Yeah.
And even then, there was so much randomization in that, like, the perks and everything were all shuffled every time that it really just depended on, like...
Just luck.
Yeah, it was a luck
thing. I
thing.
hate when games are based off of luck, too.
So, Black Ops 2... Transit. Transit, Die Rise sucked, but I had already, like, mostly given up hope on it. But Black Ops 2 Transit was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number one, Mike?
Well, this game is that which you know, and you made me and Tyler get and turned to absolute shit. And this game is... When does the fun start, Ben? When does the fun start, Ben?
Oh, forced.
This is forced.
The game is forced.
This happened one day when Ben's like, hey, we should get this game. It's only $1. We should get it for, maybe T should get it too. And I was like, alright, so me, Ben, and Tyler all bought this game. And it was the biggest mistake that we've ever made in our entire lives. This game was so poorly designed for multiplayer. I played actually a little bit by myself, and the game works pretty decently. It's still shit by itself. But it has one of the worst puzzle mechanics ever implemented in a game, which is you're forced to stay in a circle that you move around yourself, or another player moves around. If you step out the circle, you die almost instantly. And it was a struggle. At first, it was, oh, this game is a lot of fun, you know. Then the real game started, and when you're forced to stay in the circle for the whole entire time, I was like, this is just mind-breakingly numb.
There was something with the level design, too, that was really bad. The way that the progression happened was...
this is how it worked, is that the ball, you can shoot the ball in certain directions, so you'd actually have to put the ball in these little monuments to move them. But the problem is, though, then, when the ball is in that monument, the circle is around that monument, too, which then made you separate, so... And then, like, sometimes these monuments were on the other side of this wall. So then you have to be back in this little corner of this wall trying to stay in the circle while you're moving this one little monument around, trying to stay alive in the circle. As, like, these hordes of annoying enemies came at you nonstop.
It was a weird game for sure.
And it was, like, the character designs were, like, they was, well, kind of a decent look, but all the characters were kind of very bland and fucking boring, too. But I just remember we laughed, but it was a rough game. And it's like... It finally came down to, I think, when Tyler, just like one of our buddies, says, like, so, Ben, when does the fun start? Is the fun happening right now? I'm like, no, it's not happening. And we just finally had to stop. Force became part of a punishment for us in our group of friends, where if we tried to all of us stay healthy and doing our workout routines. And our thing was, if you didn't do your workout routine, you had to do 1 hour of gameplay of Force.
So to iterate on what Mike is saying, we all took like a healthy, like a dieting / workout oath for each week you had to work out or eat a certain...
we each had our own systems, but we had to follow that system. We had to say, we're going to follow our thing.
We all logged it daily, and if you didn't log it daily, or if you didn't if you didn't pay attention to it, then one of the rules was you had to play an hour or two of Forced, and you had to live stream it so that the other people could make sure that you were playing.
Yeah, you had to record it so that to show that you're playing the game. And you had to talk too, so we know that you just didn't just like find a video. It's just like you do that. That's how bad this game was. It was only $1, and to be honest, it's still like one of the bigger letdowns. But I put it on the top just because of fucking Ben, who made me decide to say we should buy this game.
A lot of people really liked it, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what Ben told us too. Like we like the reviews. It's good reviews, but that game is just shit. It is awful. There was no redeeming qualities of that game. I found none. And it just that's what I thought was very interesting too about it. Is like there was nothing that I actually thought was good about it. The puzzle mechanics were slightly interesting, but poorly implemented. It's just like with this whole thing of staying in the circle. And talk about trolling other players. Man, you can easily troll your other people by just killing them by knocking them out of the circle on purpose. It was just
It was a rough game.
Yeah, that's Force, my number one. Mostly just for Ben. Because fuck you, Ben, for making us play that game.
Yeah, dog. Oh, we tried.
Yeah, we tried. It didn't work.
Alright, my number one is back in N64 days.
Ooh, I'm interested.
And this is a game that I was really excited about. And I mean, we've mentioned this before. Like, I think the ones that when you're younger sting a bit more because it means a lot more to you getting a new game as a kid versus now. I mean, a friend can be like, "Hey, I'm gonna pick this up," and I'll see it's like $20, and be like, "Okay, yeah, I'll get that with you." Like it doesn't. It's like an afterthought,
and even,
you know.
Like, and not bitch about Force, but like, and I said that Ben made us get it. It was only $1. So we only spent $1 for the game. So.
We got it on like a very steep sale.
Yeah, it was on this website. I forget what the website called. Do you remember what it is?
It's
just give them a shout out.
Chrono GG.
Chrono GG. Give them a look up. It's a great. They usually pick high quality games, but they only sell one game on their website. But then you usually get it for just like $1 or a huge discount.
They do a huge discounted game for 24 hours, a new one every single day. So that's their gimmick.
I need to check them up again and see what they're doing now. Because they had some really good games on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so continue.
They've had some good ones.
Just want to give them a little shout out.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a game that I was really excited about. When you're a kid, you just, I don't know, you get kind of focused on the game and you're like, I can't wait for this to come out. No. I remember when the Wii was coming out, I could like hardly sleep because I wanted to play the Wii so bad.
You're like Eric Cartman in South Park.
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean, the same thing with, like, PlayStation 3. I got it for Christmas, and I was just, like, sweating every single night. Just like, were my parents able to find one? It's kind of expensive, and, you know, stuff like that. Like, things matter to you. The smaller things matter to you more when you're a kid.
You're kids. Because nothing really mattered.
So when I say that Yoshi's Story for the N64 is my number one, it seems like such a, like, something that doesn't really matter too much. But it was huge. Yoshi's Story. Yoshi's Story was a game for N64. It was a 2D game, and it was really hyped up. I don't even know where to start. The 5 that I have right now, they all have their own reasons why they suck. Destiny plays its own, or Destiny doesn't want you to play the game. Cube World is a game that got abandoned. You know, Call of Duty had the worst map in a series that I loved. Yoshi's Story sucked because, Mike, when you started this game, you got like maybe 5 minutes into it before you were presented with a character that would not let you pass. And I had to look it up this morning because I was like, why did that game suck so much? Well, let me show you why, Mike. So I'm gonna bring you over to my screen here.
Yeah.
This motherfucking character is named Pachyderm. Pachyderm. And in Yoshi's Story, what happens is it's a side scroller. So you're on this yellow road here, and as you walk by, you kill a couple enemies, you eat them, like Yoshi, you know, like you lick them up and you make an egg.
It looks really shitty too, by the way.
Well, it's N64. It was one of the first like retro modern side scrollers that like
Yoshi Island was Super Nintendo, looked way better.
Yeah, and they were saying that the game like is supposed to look awesome and stuff. Obviously, it didn't. So anyway, within the first 5 minutes of the game, you're presented with this fucking elephant called Pachyderm, and he's holding up this big sign that's a hand, and you can't get past him. You can't run past him. You can't do anything. Now the road diverges. The side-scrolling, actually, you can go down a little bit, and there's 2 parallel paths that you can kind of get around him. But by the time that you turn around, go back down that path, he walks over to that side. You can't like lick him. You can't hurt him as an enemy. You can't do anything. There's like a little tip here in front of him that if you read it, it says, this guy, Pachyderm, you have to do something special. And that's all it fucking says.
What do you have to do?
I'm going to get around to that.
Okay.
Because I never got more than 5 minutes into this game because I never figured it out as a kid. So that's why this is why Yoshi's Story was the worst. Because it was a game that I paid $60 for, and although games have disappointed me worse in other ways, this game disappointed me in the sense that I was so excited for it, and I only played 5 minutes of the intro level. At least the other games had content to play. I'll put it that way. So, what you had to do to get past this stupid fucking elephant is that you had to ground pound next to him. Like, if you tried to... the game plays out like Yoshi's Island, where it's like if you had a baby Mario, except in this game, that's the only difference. Like, you can lick enemies, you've got eggs that you can throw. It plays out exactly like Yoshi's Island for the SNES.
Nice.
So you can't lick him. You can't jump over his sign. You can't throw eggs at him. Nothing hurts him. And the only tip is that you have to do something special for him. What you had to do, Mike, which I never found out, and I sold the game a week later. I was so fucking angry. I just looked it up. I just figured this out. This has like been a 20-year mystery for me. What you have to do is go up to him and ground pound. And then he falls over, and you still can't run past him. Then you've got to run. Once he's on the ground, then you have to go down, take the parallel path before he runs back to that path. And it's really hard to describe without having a visual representation. But seriously, go look up Yoshi's Story. Look up the character Pachyderm, spelled P-A-K space E space D-R-E-M. And it's the stupidest fucking thing in the world. They don't give you any explanation on how to get past him.
Did they even tell you how to do a ground pound at all before you reach him?
I don't think so.
That's so weird.
I think you had to look in the manual to figure it out. But the only fucking tip it gave you was you have to do something special.
Yeah, just... Wow.
What's the button to suck his dick?
And just bend over and just kneel in front of him. Back turned. Oh, God.
So... Aside from that, I was looking into the other things about this game. The game is only 4 levels long. And, on top of that, the game isn't a conventional level in the sense that you just run left to right.
Yeah.
It loops. When you get to the end of from the left side to the right side, it loops back to the left side. It's a constant circle. The only thing you have to do in this game is collect fruit. And then once you collect 60 or whatever fruit, then the level ends and you go on to the next one. So it's a collect-a-thon in 4 levels, and then that's it.
Wow.
So even if I did get to play more than the first 5 minutes of this game, I still would have been severely disappointed.
That is sad. That's nowhere close to Yoshi Island. How do you come up with Yoshi Island and come up with that game? Seriously.
When you're smoking crack.
Yeah, apparently.
Anyway, I cannot explain to you how frustrated I was with this game.
Damn.
It was dumb. I don't even know. I don't even know what else to say about it. It was a game that I couldn't even play. It was unplayable. At least Cube World had a base game to fuck around in. At least Call of Duty had a zombies game. At least it would load up in your console. This game may as well have just plugged into the N64 and then just caught it on fire like Breath of the Wild running up Goron Mountain.
Nice full circle with that one, buddy.
Right? So, to finish up, top 5 biggest letdowns ever in video games for me. Number 5 is Destiny, the game that cuts out all its own content. Number 4 is Guitar Hero Live, the puzzle strategy game that you can't lose. Number 3 is Cube World, the abandoned game. Number 2 is Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and the fucking transit level, the worst rendition of zombies I've ever played. And I paid $60 for it, Mike. If it was a DLC...
You also bought the DLC, and that map was shit too, as well.
If it was only a DLC, I would have only paid $15 for it. But because I only play Call of Duty for Nazi zombies, I paid $60 for the worst zombies map ever. And then number one is
good, man.
Number one is goddamn Yoshi's Story because it was unplayable because of stupid fucking pachyderm elephant.
And then mine was Battle Block Theater because it was a multiplayer game, and the multiplayer didn't fucking work online at all, which they said it was supposed to. Number 4 is Tiny Metal, a entirely inferior advanced war game, and it's not even has all the features yet done, and you still buy it full priced, which is bullshit. Number 3 is Destiny, a game from people I love their storyline from their first game and their combat, and then for them to just come up with a game where they tell you to skip their whole entire story to play their shitty gameplay, awful gunfire and everything in it. And then number 2 is BioShock Infinite. We're expecting for a great story, which I thought was just completely lame and inferior to the first one, and just not even nearly as many choices you could in the first one as well. And then number 1 being Forrest or Ben wasting my time and money playing a shitty game with him.
You're welcome, bro.
Those are my 5.
Alright, I've got a couple honorable mentions. I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to rattle them out. I'm just going to throw them out there because if you've played these games, you know why you know why you're here. Paper Mario Sticker Star for the 3DS. Bullshit. Hellgate London for PC. Bullshit. Final Fantasy X-2, the one where you play as only the women in Final Fantasy X.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking bullshit. And Spore.
Oh, good old Spore. I actually had some good play on that one. It was fun blowing up planets.
Those are my honorable mentions for biggest letdowns.
I have to admit, I did enjoy going to a planet, and if they didn't give me peace, I would just blow up their planet. That was fun.
I didn't even get that far.
Oh, you never got to space? I got to space. My honorable mention is Doom 3 BFG version on the PC. It was supposed to have multiplayer where you can play with another person. They took that function out before the game finally came out. Me and my brother didn't realize it. A huge letdown because we got that for that reason. So yeah, that's an honorable mention for me. But yeah, that's our top 5 for our biggest letdown.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
It was a very passionate one. A lot of it was like a therapy session, you know? A lot of built-up anger throughout the years.
Yoshi's Story.
Goddamn Yoshi's Story.
See that one coming.
Mike, I'm gonna show you the video that I watched before, because I was trying to remember. I was like, why did I hate this game so much? Why did I not make it past the first level? Stupid goddamn elephant in red polka dot pants. So let's see.
He was a boss in Yoshi Islands too, actually, I believe.
No, that was another guy. He had blue and white striped pants. Oh yeah,
and he had a brother too. That's right. He bounced around a ball.
Yeah, it was something else. All right, so this isn't necessarily like a topic or anything. I just thought I'd bring it up and
that's a conversation piece.
Yeah. But so Twin Galaxies, Mike. I mentioned it before.
You brought it up. I need to look this up.
Well,
if
I'm gonna
see it. I'll know it too. But keep on talking, buddy.
Well, Twin Galaxies is it's an organization that manages speedruns.
Yeah.
So what they do is they have like a Guinness World Record set up. Like I guess that's how they got their name. Oh, sorry, let me restart. I'm like stuttering over myself here. Pretty much, they were the first organization to monitor and referee speedruns. And so, even though it's generally agreed that they're not the most reliable, they're still a big name in gaming because pretty much they were just the first ones to do it.
Yeah.
So they've been getting a lot of heat lately because there's a couple people that claim that they've had high scores on games when realistically they've kind of just manipulated the system. And I don't know if through friendship or I maybe like nepotism, if they're like related, or maybe just plain old fashioned bribery, they have managed to get the referees to agree and vouch that they made these times in games, and they've been on Twin Galaxies like high score server or their database for forever. Lately there's been some videos coming out that this guy goes into extreme, irrefutable, evidential detail that a lot of these big names, they shouldn't be on these lists, and it's actually getting quite a bit of attention. Todd Rogers, he's the first guy that had this video made off of him. I mean, a lot of videos have been made off of these guys having fraudulent times. Yeah. But the first video that kind of got like a lot of attention recently was this guy Todd Rogers. So his summary: 53 years old. He's kind of an old crusty dude. But Todd Rogers, an American video game player who gained fame in the early 1980s for his many world record high scores and for his expertise on Activision games. So he was under fire recently because a lot of his times people expected were fraudulent or made up. Turns out they totally were. This guy has been under fire for a long fucking time. It's just only recently that he's been
noticed by the public.
Yeah, pretty much. As I said, this guy made this video about it, and after this video was made, they actually took him off of Twin Galaxy's databases. He had the #1 score for like dozens of games for a long time, and they just wiped a lot of his shit clean. So essentially, this guy, a lot of it started with this game called Dragster, where it was this really old school game, and pretty much like simple button mechanics, all that. It was super fucking old. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, so like there. You know, all it is just like basic NES.
Yeah, NES motorcycle jumping game looks like. That game where you are a motorcycle and you have to...
Not even that.
Oh, no, you're actually in a drag car.
So all that matters is you just have to know when to shift up a gear into the next spot. And just the best... depending on when you shift, that's like how you get the best time ever. So this guy wrote down that he got this amazing time, essentially, like 0.2 seconds faster than the next fastest or something along those lines. And for years, this guy, people have said that's not possible. They've broken down the code so that they shift like computer-aided runs where they have shifted
exactly at the point you can do it.
Yeah, and they still can't get it anywhere near his score. And they haven't been able to do anything about it. And then this video came out and his score actually got removed. So, I mean, good for that, because I'm sure the person in second place was like, thank fucking God, you know, I'm the true...
Yeah, like, I kind of feel bad for him for online. It's like, I bet you that person has been trying non-stop trying to make that score too if he didn't think that he was cheating as well. And I feel bad for the waste of time.
Yeah, so... This game is fucking old. I'm sure it came out in the 80s. It must have come out in the 80s. That means we're talking 80, 90, 2000s, 2010. Like, we're talking almost 40 years that this guy has maintained this score. He's considered his name, his nickname is Mr. Activision.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And he was recently taken off of this Twin Galaxies website. This other dude, Billy Mitchell, same situation. He was another character that claimed that he had, I think it was Donkey Kong. I think
Billy Mitchell. Yeah, I know from the movie. They based the movie off of him and another guy.
Yeah, and it turned out he fucking cheated.
Just recently?
No, like his score for Donkey Kong. Okay, yeah, right here. King of Kong's Billy Mitchell gets kicked off of the Donkey Kong leaderboard for allegedly playing on a emulator and not real hardware, which is a big no-no in Twin Galaxies.
Yeah.
And people were able to irrefutably show that. And his name was still on... I mean, think of when Donkey Kong came out. Once again, like, these guys have been on these lists for like 40 years. Their entire legacy is based off of a lie. And even though it's been irrefutable, it's been up there, you know?
There's, like, no stories, too, on Twin Galaxies at all talking about it either, which is weird.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that this is, like, their nose getting rubbed in the mud here. I'm sure that they weren't a big fan of expressing that. So, I mean, it's good that these guys got... It's good that these guys got kicked off, but Twin Galaxies in general has been getting a lot of heat for it because... It has been so obvious, you know. It's like, I mean, not to get too political here, but I mean, it's like OJ trial, you know. It's like, come on, there's so much irrefutable evidence against you, and people just kind of look the other way because it's the easier thing to do. Like there's just a lot of backlash that Twin Galaxies is getting, and I thought that was interesting because this is a company that I haven't heard too much about.
No, I never heard them at all until you brought them up.
But they're a pretty big name. Like I do love speedruns, but I didn't know that there was specifically a speedrun database company,
And apparently they're a very poor one too. So like, I'm wondering if someone is going to start a new one up and see what happens.
Well, the difference these days is that people can live record their shit.
Yeah, so it's not much really needed as much.
Yeah, and these guys that made these fraudulent scores in the 80s, they were able to get away with it a lot more because they'd be like, oh, our cassette tape was, it's like magnetic, they're like, oh, it got destroyed or corrupted or we lost it or something. So, like, we're moving in the right direction, but I thought that was interesting because to a lot of people, those are some pretty big names. I mean, even though you haven't heard of Twin Galaxies or Todd Rogers, King of Kong's Billy Mitchell, I've seen that documentary, that's a huge thing.
And especially, like, it's, even though it's not big to me, it's still big to the people that are in this world, of, like, speedrunning and that stuff. It's still a huge deal for them, which makes sense. And it's just very sucky that they have this company here that says, oh, we keep track of records and stuff, and they can't even do that right. That's their only job, and they can't even do that.
Yeah, and to think of, how many hours do speedrunners spend speedrunning? A ridiculous amount of hours. The people that play video games casually versus the people that play video games as what I don't know if I would even say a lifestyle, as more of like an addiction or an obsession. Yeah. Like speedrunners, they put like 12, 14 hours into games every single day.
They're basically their job almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And
some of them it is their job.
Yeah. And I think that this is a huge step in the right direction of getting these guys off this list, because how much would it suck for that to be your job, to play 12, 14 hours of games every day just doing the same thing over and over, like playing Super Metroid, playing Mega Man,
all the way through like a game, almost done, then you realize you messed up one thing and start all the way back to the beginning.
And to think that the foundation of speedrunning is based on those obvious, blatant lies that have been irrefutable, and yet no one's been able to change for 40 years. Like, I'm pretty excited about how this is going to I don't think it's going to make, like, news in like a substantial, like, CNN or Fox News kind of case, but I think that in general, this has proven that, having proper recording software, doing your research, and being able to prove irrefutably that you did this is it's like security is going to become a big thing in the future, and I'm really excited about that. Speedrunners definitely deserve to have that safety blanket for their records.
Yeah, the Twin Galaxy has a forum for scores dispute reviews, where they actually people dispute actual scores and stuff like that.
Yeah,
interesting.
Either way, it's really good news. It sucks that happened in the past, but in general, totally. And it sounds like Twin Galaxies has made strides in having that happen less frequently, but at the same time, supposedly this guy Billy Mitchell, the King of Kong, he was a large investor or donator to Twin Galaxies. So it goes to show that there is still a little bit of money talks and corruption going on there.
Even in the documentary too, like when his competitor finally beat him, he just sent in a cassette tape, and then he got the new high score again. And the guy that was competing was like, well, that's just total bullshit that he gets to send a tape in and to have like through all these jumps and stuff to have someone here to watch me do the high score and all that, which I thought was very interesting. If you remember that in the documentary at all,
it's been a while, but
like remember it was about Billy Mitchell and then this other guy, and the other guy finally beats him, and after he beats him, Billy Mitchell just sends in a tape, and he goes like, oh yeah, this is totally cool, yeah, we'll accept this as a new high score. Then the other guy's going like, what the fuck? I had to jump through all these hoops to get like an actual judge here and all that stuff to look at me do it and all that, and you're telling me like he can just send in a freaking tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought that was weird too. I was like, that's total bullshit.
Yep. Supposedly he was a big donator towards the cause, so goes to show that even though Twin Galaxies is making strides, they're just as corrupt as any other business that has
as long as you just pay them, you can be the top player.
Yeah. But once again, hopefully we're heading in the right direction, but we'll see. Other news. These are just some things that I caught over the week. There's a rumored Spyro trilogy remastered coming out for PS4. I never got too much into Spyro, but I've got nothing against it.
That's always been saying that. Oh, they're gonna remake. They're gonna like an HD. They're making another one. I doubt it. I don't know. I've heard it so many times throughout the years. I played a little bit of Spyro. It's a good game. I've never beaten it as a kid, but I did enjoy playing it. I thought the character was well designed and all that stuff. But I've just been hearing nonstop that there's always gonna be an HD or another Spyro game. I've never seen one. The only time I've ever seen Spyro ever another game was with he was put in that one game where you have like those little Skylanders. That's the only time I've seen him put in a game. Besides that,
I mean that is an HD remake, but I understand that that's not exactly what people are looking for.
No, yeah, he's not the main character in Skylanders. He was added in later too in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have nothing against it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Either way, yeah, just a rumor, but we'll see. Rumor mill.
I believe it's just gonna be a rumor.
Actually, here's another rumor. So this is nothing that's concrete, but I guess Blizzard was getting a couple Warcraft 3 streamers and veterans to visit Blizzard headquarters for some reason, and people have speculation that it's because of Warcraft 3 Remastered.
Warcraft 3. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So, I'm not a big RTS fan, but I feel like a lot of people grew up on that game. I mean, my brother did.
I played quite a bit of Warcraft myself. My favorite thing to do is click the sheep until they blew up.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
But I mean, like, MOBAs are pretty much have Warcraft 3 to thank for their entire genre.
No, yeah.
Sure. I mean, am I making too large of a stride to say that pretty much Dota and Warcraft 3 are the reason that MOBAs are MOBAs?
No, yeah, the first MOBA was based off of Warcraft heroes and stuff, so...
Being Dota, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even though it's not huge news to me, I mean, it could be potentially big news for a lot of other people. That's all I've got there. I don't know if you had anything else, but we could move on to games coming out.
I don't really... Yeah, I haven't noticed much about any games. I haven't been able to play Hunt of the Showdown because they only open up every once in a while, and every time they do that, I didn't have connection to do it, so it's kind of annoying. So, no, there's nothing really new that I noticed that's coming out that I thought about talking about.
Okay. I thought I'd mention, we were talking about Metal Gear Survive earlier, so that game comes out February 20th. It's getting all console release except for Switch, but PC, Xbox One, and PS4. $40. I think it's so-so. I don't think it's worth $40.
I don't think so. I really don't even think it's worth $30. I think it's more of a $20 game, but I may be being harsh on it. There may be more game modes that we don't realize are going to be with it, and the only one we can play is that mode. But if it's really just that mode, just because it seems like a complete same version as the game it's based off of, I don't think it should be $30 or $40.
I don't know. I'm not saying that it's worth that much, but I definitely don't even think it's worth $20. I think that even though the game looks polished, it's very clearly not. It's just using assets from another game, and I thought that how long it takes people to load out, the amount that you can fuck with each other and bog down the game, I thought everything was pretty bad about it, honestly.
Yeah.
It was fun to fuck around in, but that's speaking from a purely free game. If I spent any money on that, I would definitely be very furious about my investment. The other game coming out this week that I saw that caught my eye was Age of Empires Definitive Edition for PC. That's coming out February 20th. Once again, I'm not a big RTS fan, but I know Age of Empires is a huge name in games. So if you're into that, then have at it, Hoss.
Oh, Civ 6 actually got a huge DLC upgrade to it, apparently.
Yeah, I saw that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard some of the new gameplay of it. It sounds kind of interesting. All that stuff.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Civ 5 wasn't as good as Civ 4 until all of its DLC came out. So
that's what everyone says. Like, all the Civ games are never really fully good at launch. It's always when their DLC comes out, it's when they become fully good games.
So, I mean, I think this is maybe the first, if not maybe the second Civ 6 DLC. So we'll see what happens, but I'm still not holding my breath for a while.
I think it's the first one. And I think, yeah, I've listened to other podcasts, and they were saying that this is their first DLC that came out for it. Mm-hmm. And so far, I've been hearing positive reviews of it.
That's good.
Any other games that are on your come out list?
No, that's it.
One game that caught my eye. The list for this week was very short, actually, and not many good ones. But one that caught my eye was a game called Past Cure. It's coming out February 23rd. Here's the description. Past Cure is a dark, psychological thriller that blurs the lines between dreams and reality. An intense cinematic story-driven experience that challenges the player to use mind-bending mental abilities to survive. It kind of has a Resident Evil play to it. The graphics are actually quite nice in it. And it kind of has a tone of Evil Within with the whole dream aspect of it, but doesn't look as scary, but looks interesting enough that I might give it a little of a follow-through and stuff. But yeah, that's it for me. I didn't really see anything else on there at all.
Yeah, there's not much. Okay, next week's top 5, we've decided to do villains in video games. Just your most interesting villains that made the game. There's definitely movies that are similar to that, too. I mean, think of Joker in The Dark Knight. Like, that movie is hardly a Batman movie, and more just strictly, I want to see more Joker, you know? So, like, think of it in that style. Not like a villain that was too interesting, but more that, like, the game would have failed if that villain wasn't in the game.
Oh, okay.
You know, it wouldn't have been nearly as successful.
Gotcha.
Games I'm going to be playing this week. Let's see. Probably Breath of the Wild. Lately, I bought Adobe Creative Cloud, so I'm working on a new video right now. So I don't know if I'll be playing much, but I'm still kind of on like a movie fix lately. I don't know what it is. So I'm kind of more on the movie side, but if I get time to play some games, it's going to be Zelda Breath of the Wild, I'm sure.
Nice. I'll be definitely playing Breath of the Wild, and I might be playing some more Super Hot. I'll be definitely actually playing some more Super Hot over the weekend and all that stuff, because I'm still loving Breath of the Wild, but I'm still getting past the ability. I'm still getting the reach of the ability to put it down and play another game. So I think that when I reach that point, I'll be playing some Super Hot to finish that off.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that'll be my week 2 as well.
Yeah. And that's it for me. I don't know if you had any other like sign off or anything like that.
Just come back to see us next week and have a good one.
Yep. All right.
Peace.
See you guys.